A Manxman's Yarns. 3 short stories written and spoken by me, Drew Herdman. This, the 3rd story, is called Gremlins I Think Not. A tale of a frustrated love and a sweet revenge. When Chief of the whole Indian nation, Running Elk, fell in battle, trying to stop the onward march of the hated Whiteskins, the fight collapsed, and the tribes went in all directions, leaving their dead and wounded. Eagle Eyes, the one and only son of Running Elk, a child of but 14 summers, found his father amongst those few that had tried to defend their chief. He called Flying Cloud that great white stallion his father had treasured. The horse came and stood looking down on the cooling body. Gently he lowered his head and snuffled, his bright intelligent eyes seeming to understand what was before him. Eagle Eyes picked up the feathered headdress and looking around asked challengingly, "Is there anyone here who disputes my authority in this matter?" Those around silently shook their heads. He stood proudly while they made a travois, and Running Cloud allowed himself to be put between the shafts and walked slowly on, dragging the skin-covered body back to the lodge where the teepees circled the totem pole. The women came, soon to look and then wail their loss. But Eagle Eyes called a tribal meeting, and soon they were sitting cross-legged around the burning fire. It was enough. It was decided. The next day they gathered in the hollow next to the hill that was their sacred place, and there they cut willow poles and built the platform that would hold the body of Running Elk for all time. With all ceremony and respect, he was wrapped in his sleeping robe, his headdress over him, and his war trophies hung about. They went around and called the spirits to guard this sacred place from defilement for all time. They hung the sacred charms at all the corners of the hollow, and went away without a backward glance. The tribe scattered too, retreated westward in confusion and exhaustion. Trappers came to hunt and decimate the wildlife there, and after it was gone a small trading station was built on the banks of the place where the 2 rivers joined. Soon it became a village, then a town, with steamboats on the river, and then the railway arrived to connect it to the rest of the great expanse of land to both east and west. But the spirit of Running Elk was disturbed. He had watched as the sacred place of his burial had dissolved back to melt into the general mass of trees and undergrowth. It was when the first small huts and then log cabins were built in the hollow that he became anxious, and years later, when the stone and brick buildings appeared, that he became frantic. As an Indian, he had never left his mark on the earth. He had lived as his tribe had done for aeons, living with and not of the land. His moccasined foot had left no print. But now the land was being destroyed. He saw the first cars, the roads, then aeroplanes flew over him. He saw people trapped in tiny boxes, their faces at tiny windows, and great lands which never grew bigger than the boxes. He saw people watching and laughing, and it was called television. It was when the county library was built he felt the time had come to see if anything could be done. After all, they had built it right on the spot that he considered his own. He tried, oh yes, he tried, but he just couldn't make himself seen or heard. He was being ignored. Ghostly feathers bristling, he stalked the rooms by day and night, but nothing. He screamed his awful war cries. He slashed with his war axe, he cut with his hunting knife, but nothing. All he touched was ephemeral, transparent. One day, several parcels were delivered. He watched as they were unloaded, opened, and the contents set on tables. He saw men scratching their heads as they pondered the strange devices that awaited them. It was then that a box suddenly lit up and he saw splashing colours which firmed into writing. He saw people watching these windows, and one day he saw people inside the boxes again. But these were talking to the others who sat outside. Well, he pondered, surely if they can, There must be a way I can do it too. That night, during a gale of wind and a lightning flash, he rode as he did on the back of Long Gone Running Cloud. The flash hit the building, and in that tiny fraction of a second he felt himself drawn into the depths of darkness. He settled down to wait. When the light came on, he could see the room from inside the little box. He could hear them as they spoke and mingled around. He saw them come and go. He saw them take books from shelves, some to be taken away, others discarded. But then a lady came and sat in a chair in front of him. She was about 5'4" tall, her hair neither black nor auburn, somewhere in between. Curly too, not long and braided like the squaws in his tribe. He saw lips that parted in concentration as the tip of the tongue curled delicately, pink, to lick. But when she started to write, his anger boiled. The window was suddenly a white sheet that carried black letters that were the wrong way round. Later the window cleared and he saw the lady go away. Others came and went, but it was this lady that always sat in front of him. He could see 2 doors, and it was as if this lady was, like him, a chief of this tribe. Men and women came to speak to her, deferentially. She spoke with an air of command, as he had done to his braves. Oh, how he admired her spirit! He held out his hands to her, but she ignored him. He tried and tried, but never as much as a glance she gave him. Well, if he couldn't have her, then he would have pleasure at her expense. So he began to learn that to touch certain parts of the mass of wires inside the box, as she pressed certain buttons, he could alter the way the box worked. And then she would shout and rave and lose her temper. And the more she did, the more wildly wonderful he saw her. She became wild with passion, her eyes flashed, she swore as a man can do. Oh, it was wonderful. And there were other little tricks he could play. All the people that worked there were so easy to tease, annoy, perplex. Oh, it was such fun. So, if in an idle moment, when your thoughts drift from the mundane minutiae of humdrum work, and you have a moment to spare, take a long close look at your computer screen, and in the depths, as you sink into that translucent window, you may hear the deep, mocking chuckle of Big Chief running elk. Intro and outro music by kind permission of Freakman from Free Sound. I do hope you enjoyed this. There will be more, much more.